Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Court Martial Podcast. Introducing your host for this evening first. He is the host with the most from the West Coast, the Bay Area brawler, Skylar Greenberg. And his partner, he has colonized, energized, and revolutionized the podcasting wrestling world today. Your colonial champion, Sean McCarty. And welcome, because it is the most wonderful time of the year, and there are plenty of firings, the show's uninspiring, but we're full of cheer, because it's the most wonderful time of the year here at the Court Martial Podcast. I am your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, here to show you what pro wrestling truly is about. But I'm not going to do it alone, because of course it is ACPW as well as NWL, and the proprietor of NWL sits beside me here today because he is the man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour. He is the Bay Area brawler himself, the 8-candled assassin, Skylar Greenberg. How you doing, my man?
Well, hello, everybody. First off, happy Hanukkah. Second, I will be doing today's show a little bit under the weather, but like any good baby face, I'll make my comeback.
That's right. You are in the process of getting the heat. But soon, you're going to teach this, you're going to soon teach this cold that it done fucked up messing with you. Make a couple roundhouse kicks, come back, drop the elbow, tune up the band, and kick it the hell out of your body.
Thank you. Thank you. As the showstopper, I'm looking forward to my show. But we need to get to your show first.
That's right. Now, of course, we've got a major NWL show coming up in just a little bit. So, as the go-home show to Winter Warfare, which takes place next month to wrap up the year, and Season 2 of ACPW vs. NWL, we bring to you ACPW Episode 17. I have not been accurate in my counts, but I will rectify it here today. It is Episode 17 out of Buffalo, New York, and we have got 15 segments total. And as you know, segments is not also includes matches. It is not just behind the scenes and whatnot.
Thank God.
Thank God. Especially because I'm long-winded enough as it is, and we've got a lot of show to go through, so let's get cracking. We're going to start with action. It is Brian Cage versus Kenny Omega. Can you guess how long this match goes?
2 minutes.
That is exactly right. It is a very simple discus clothesline. Powerful, emphatic, takes Omega out of his shoes nearly, and that is it. A simple win, but something that a win that Cage needs, because we really haven't seen a lot of him in action other than losing lately, even though it's been high-profile matches. He still needs wins.
You gotta get your former world champion a couple of wins so that he looks credible when he goes up against the next opponent.
That's right. And now, in comes JR, and JR going up with Brian and goes, Brian, that was a great win. Pretty emphatic, pretty statement win. I've heard word by, of course, our Commissioner Arn Anderson that you will have a match at Winter Warfare against the Beast, Brock Lesnar. And I just want to get your thoughts going into that matchup, as that is obviously not a matchup you could take lightly. Buffalo, New York is familiar with beasts. But the Beast Incarnate is not familiar with a machine. It's the big matchup, JR, the one everybody wants to see. What happens when the Beast and a machine face each other in the ring? And I promise you that no Beast and no shrimpy little walrus are going to stop the machine from his goal. I will never forget you taking that world championship away from me, Brock Lesnar. And I will make sure that you pay for it come Winter Warfare. You're the biggest name. You're the guy that everybody says is the final boss of professional wrestling. But the final boss has never went against a man like me, because I'm not just a man. I'm a machine. And JR goes, well, Brian, of course, best of luck to you. And thank you very much. And, and as soon as Brian Cage starts to leave, who comes waddling down the aisle with no music but one Paul Riss Heyman.
Don't disrespect Paul Heyman like that.
I'm not disrespect. Hey, listen, he knows plenty well that he is how in high regard I hold Paul Heyman.
All right, fine, whatever.
And Jim goes, well, Paul, I guess we're gonna get a little word from you here. And Paul comes into the ring and goes, JR, do you mind if I just take the microphone? It's no disrespect to you, but you yourself have a long night, and I'm very long-winded, and I don't want your arm to get tired. And so Paul Heyman takes the microphone and goes, Brian, you can't say I'm not a man of my word. I said to you that I would make you an offer, and that offer was for you to take the advice of me, Paul Heyman, an advocate of sorts. I've been an overseer, an advisor, a consultant. I've done it all in this business. And Brian, you wanted to do your thing, be yourself. I understand. But what exactly does a machine think it knows? Because a machine is programmed to think a certain way, and trust me, we know just how limited that AI processor up there really is, Brian. And I was willing to help you with that. But instead you chose to be stupid. You chose to be a classic AI on easy difficulty. You want to make the world a video game? You want to make Brock Lesnar a final boss? Brian, you wouldn't make it to the final boss. You decided not to take the cheat code, the ultimate cheat code to this business that I happen to be. But I don't mean to make it sound like I know everything about this business, because clearly I don't know or care about what these people in Buffalo like. Because all these people in Buffalo know is how to plow snow and put themselves through plastic tables while they're tailgating.
Boo! Boo! You suck! You suck! You suck!
Brian, Winter Warfare, the Beast will demonstrate to you what a true machine-like breakdown is truly like. Systematically, limb by limb, piece by piece, Brock Lesnar will devour your entire state of being. To when it's finally said and done, and the machine lays in pieces in the middle of the ring, there will be two words that you will always remember about that night. When that night is over and the machine is broken, you'll remember seeing the hand raised of Brock Lesnar.
Ooh, a lot to unpack here.
Yes, because it went places and I had to bring it back to the point.
But it went very good places. I mean, Brian Cage is never going to be a great promo, but if you keep him short, you keep him simple, you get the message across, that's all you need from him.
Yes.
But Paul Heyman, even pretending to listen to him as you were using those words sounds great.
That's really how good Paul Heyman is. We're just imagining him talk sounds good.
Right. And that's the thing, is that he may be the single best promo in wrestling. It's hard to argue with the way that he talks, because he's so slimy and you hate him, but you can't stop listening to him.
Yeah. Yeah, he truly is captivating. And this is the way to kind of get Cage a win, to still build him up, but also building up this big match, which really is a big match between Cage and Lesnar.
The most important thing is you don't see Brock. You don't need to see Brock.
That's right.
You keep it non-physical. You save everything for the pay-per-view.
Exactly. So we get this little moment, and, there's no physicality because Cage isn't going to attack Heyman without, Brock there. So they kind of get Paul kind of slithers away as best as he can, and then we go back to Matt Striker and Taz. The next match is Ruby Soho versus Ashley Vox. And,
are you really trying to make Ruby Soho a thing?
Well, this match goes 5 good minutes, and Ruby Soho uses her black nails to rake Ashley Vox in the eyes as she's making her comeback. And as a result, she's blinded. Ashley Vox puts her head down. Ruby Soho hits an emphatic Soho kick until I come up with something better than that, because that's a stupid finish, but I'm going to use it in this case. And Ruby Soho wins.
Right kick.
And a pin. 1, 2, 3.
You know that Ruby Soho is the name of a song by Rancid?
Yeah, I think that was the point.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the point of her naming that. I may be mistaken, but I do kind of remember that being a thing.
Yes, it's a punk band.
Yes. So,
by the way, all my talking, that's because I don't really have that much interest in Ruby Soho. I know you're trying, but
well, this is only a 5-minute match. There's no there's no afters to it. There's no real angle to it. It's just a match on the show. Nothing big.
And more importantly,
nothing
you established
small.
she's a heel. She cheated to win.
That's right. So, up next, we have another matchup. And this one is with another new acquisition. It is Damien Priest versus Sammy Guevara with Orange Cassidy at ringside.
Sammy Guevara versus... My goodness.
How long do you think this match went?
I'm going to give it 6.
If only. Sammy Guevara would do a good 6-minute match, but I'm going to give this 4. Because Damien Priest is very intimidating looking. He's got a unique look. You know, he may not be the biggest guy on this roster, but he's still pretty big, so I don't want to have him go very competitive with someone the size of Sammy. So it's going to go...
That's no knock on Sammy. It's
no.
Just he, in real life, should not be wrestling against a guy like Damien Priest and hanging with them unless he's super, super talented, and he's not there yet.
Right. And seeing how Sammy Guevara is hanging out with Orange Cassidy as the team of Orange Guava, I don't think necessarily this is the Sammy Guevara moment. So it's...
No.
No. So it's a 4-minute match, and I'm giving Damien Priest a choke slam. That's it.
Choke slam is his finisher?
That's it. Choke slam, finish. Because he does that choke slam bomb, but he always makes it look worse by doing the bomb part. So just have him do the choke slam part. It's
until he gets good enough to actually do the bomb part, and then you can transition it to the super move.
Yeah, or save that for, when he really needs to use it, and just use the choke slam for now. So it's just the choke slam finish right there. Pretty simple, but sometimes simple is better.
Pure and simple, pure and painful.
That's right. And so then we go to the back where Tony Schiavone is in the back with Randall Keith. And this is the first promo I believe we've gotten from Randy. I could be wrong. But this is one of the few.
Okay, promo away.
So Tony Schiavone goes, "Hello, I am, of course, Tony Schiavone here interviewing Randy Orton. And Randy, you have been challenged directly by Eli Drake and, of course, your manager, Jim Cornette, accepting that challenge. What are your thoughts, of course, heading into that matchup coming up at Winter Warfare?" They called me the bounty hunter when I came in here, Tony. And I've cashed in on a lot of bounties in my career. I've done a lot of good things, done a lot of not so good things. I've kicked a lot of people in the head. I've won a lot of championships. A man like Eli Drake, I've been a man like Eli Drake. The man who wants to take on the top names, prove that he can knock off the old guard to make way for the new guard. But the funny thing and the difference between a man like Eli Drake and a man like myself is that I knew from a very young age that I was going to uptake the old guard. That's why I was the legend killer so many years ago. And Eli Drake wants to name himself, make himself a legend. Well, I can kill the aspirations of being a legend. So come Winter Warfare, we'll find out whether Eli Drake can hang with the snake.
The hard part with Randy Orton promos is that Randy Orton promo
is slow and meandering and boring as hell. Yes.
Exactly. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean to Randy Orton. I don't want to get an arcade.
No, but that's how I had to do this. I have to do it the way Orton would do it. I'm not saying that it's a perfect promo. It's a Randy Orton promo.
Right.
And this is why he doesn't get many.
Right, because he's better as a silent killer.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
You better let Jim Cornette talk for him.
That's exactly. And just the only reason we're not having Cornette talk for him is that Jim Cornette is busy because of our main event tonight, which is a one-on-one matchup, because the ticket to Buffalo, New York coming, because otherwise this wouldn't be a show that anyone would go to, is that both champions will be in action here tonight. So Wrestling's Finest will be in non-title action, as well as Jeff Cobb. The main event is going to be Jeff Cobb in non-title one-on-one action against Eddie Kingston.
Ooh.
And
that's a good match.
And so we will see that a little bit later. But Cornette, of course, is working for theirs. So instead, we get Randy Orton promo. But this is the way that we still get to sell this feud of Eli Drake and Randy Orton that's going to be on Winter Warfare come the next show.
Sounds good, my man. Sounds good.
Next up, it is a tag team match. It is Beer Money versus the team of The Miz and John Morrison.
The recently released John Morrison.
That's right. And this match goes 9 minutes of a 10-minute time limit, so they get their money's worth here. And Beer Money wins with the Eye of the Storm on The Miz, because I will not pin John Morrison at this point, because I would not do that on his debut. The Miz can take the pin, I don't care. But Morrison will not be taking the pin.
You see more things in the other guy.
That's right.
Than you do the Miz.
As a wrestler, yes. But we'll get to that. But we're not quite done with this segment. It's a good matchup. Good 9-minute matchup as Beer Money are posing and celebrating as they're backing up the ramp from behind on either side, because there's like the way that our ramp is like there's a ramp, but there's still fans on like either side, and it's not like a large gate. It's like one of the small metal barricades. I mean, they're all like really hard zip tied together, so it's not like they're gonna just have one flying. It's actual significant barricade, and we have good security. But behind like the very last row, there's like a set of tables and electrical equipment, but there's like a small gap where security come in and out. Well, from that spot on either side, FTR come out and they've got beer bottles, and the fans see them come out, but Beer Money don't see them come out, and before they can turn around, in the back of both of their heads, bam, bam, FTR just beam both of Beer Money with the beer bottles and just walk back up the ramp. And the fans are booing the shit, and there was just a small moment of cheerful, we're going to hit the crap out of you because we've got a match coming up.
It's dirty, but it's a good heel move. I'm sure you're using the sugar glass that doesn't hurt anybody.
Of course.
And I find it ironic that you have this show in Buffalo, New York, and a failure by security not 1 week after another incident happened at Barclays Center, also in New York.
Well, yeah, but that's like in the city, New York, as opposed to upstate New York. It's a different group of people.
The point being is that the state of New York needs better security.
Well, at least it was FTR at this point. It wasn't just like a random fan.
Right. And you don't know who you can have for security, or better yet, protection?
J&J Security?
No, I was going to do an APA joke, you bastard.
Oh, that's better. Honestly, that would be much better.
The moment's ruined. Move on to your next segment. J&J
Security would not be nearly as efficient as the APA. That's.
God,
I will give you the point there.
I even used the word protection.
You did.
You ruined it.
You said security, and I said the first thing that came to mind. But yeah, or the 4-man team of J&J APA. There we go. The mega security. The Security Protection Agency of Security.
JJAPA?
There you go. JJAPA. the
Just
mega
the initials.
That's right. Kicking the Job Squad and Kai and Tai on every weekly episode. Moving right along. That went way off the rails. This is we now have a contract signing. And this contract signing is for the finals of the women's tournament that will crown the very first ACPW women's champion. And Arn Anderson is in the middle of the ring. We've got a table that will not be breaking in this matchup, in this moment, because it is not a WWE show where it happens literally every contract signing. Not happening.
And it's not AEW where they must use weapons every time.
No, none of that. None of that jazz. So Serena Deeb gets into the ring, and Camille gets into the ring. And Camille signs the contract, and Serena Deeb signs the contract. And it's all very smooth. Like, okay, well, ladies, best of luck to both of you if you both shake hands. And Serena Deeb goes to Arn Anderson and so motions to have the microphone, and Serena says, Camille, I just want to say you've been very impressive here in ACPW and from all the times I've seen you, and I just want to say may the best woman win and good luck to you, and it's going to be a fight and it's going to be a pleasure. And she sticks out her hand. And Camille just looks at the hand, looks kind of into the crowd, looks at Arn Anderson, looks down at the hand, kind of does this like smirk, and then just turns around and walks away. And that's it.
Is that the end of the segment?
And that's it. Not a whole lot. Not very dramatic. This is, it's a tournament, so I want this to still feel kind of official.
Right, and you don't need to over-dramatic everything. The problem with contract segment signings is that every single one must have something happen or must have something controversial go on, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
The problem with that is that then you have to top yourself each and every time.
Right.
You can go simple and then just like, there are a number of ways that you can do it simply. Like, you go to shake hands and then Camille grabs Serena Deeb's hand and starts squeezing it really hard. You could just have her slap the hand away, or you just do what you did. Just smirk, don't shake her hand, and walk off.
Well, and another part of what I really like about Camille and what I liked about Camille was when they first introduced her on NWA Power as Nick Aldis's accompaniment. And every time that Joe Galli went to interview Camille, she would just kind of look at him and then walk away. She did so much without saying a word. That's what I want her to be at this moment. I think her talking hurts her case at this moment. It's better with her physique to just stay silent, do what she's got to do, and have this match with Serena Deeb.
Exactly. And I'm sure that your company would theoretically have like spot shows or very small shows.
Of course.
In front of like maybe 500 or 1,000 people at most. What you can do on those spot shows, you can give Camille promo and mic time, so that way she doesn't have to do it in front of the live crowd.
Right.
Doesn't have to do it on your TV, your regional TV,
right.
So she can get practice and not, mess up in front
exactly.
of a bunch of people and then ruin her.
Yeah.
It's not going to be another Jade Cargill situation.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And as she's training, so that's why we're going to keep it really simple with Camille, and I think it's the right way to go. And Serena Deeb is the person to be a part of that, I think.
Did you watch that segment with Jade Cargill's debut?
Yeah. That was something.
The worst part about that whole segment is that it took forever for her to get out what she was supposed to get out, which was not very much.
And then Brandy just went off on her. I mean, that was like one of the most scathing promos I've ever heard cut.
For the briefest of minutes, Brandy turned babyface.
Briefly, and
and then we remembered why she is what she is.
She's Brandy.
I have said my piece many times,
yes.
Including on that TAW Gaming and CMP simulcast review of Full Gear, which you guys can listen back to if you subscribe, like, and share for our Marshall podcast.
Please do. And when we move on to a matchup, a very interesting matchup. It is Andrade with Zelina going one-on-one with Adam Cole.
Baby.
Now, we know that Zelina talked smack about Britt Baker, and of course paid for it by losing to Serena Deeb in the tournament. And Andrade and Adam Cole. Adam Cole kind of took exception to her words, and now we're having this matchup here today.
Right, and no Britt Baker, correct? She's
no
still
Britt
recovering
Baker.
From her injuries?
No Britt Baker. She is still recuperating.
Okay, then.
And so this matchup goes 12 minutes out of 15 for a time limit. And the finish is pretty simple. Adam Cole makes his comeback after Andrade gets the heat. He's looking for the last shot, but he's too close to the ropes. So Zelina grabs Adam Cole's leg before he's able to start running. And that's enough to get Adam Cole to turn around and yank his foot away. But when he's doing that, because he's behind, Andrade's behind him, he gets up, wrenches the arm, turns Adam Cole around, hammerlock DDT, 1, 2, 3.
Cheating to win. That's what heels have to do.
That's what heels have to do. It's a simple cheat. It's something that's not, it's not getting up on the apron. It's something easy with that. And then when Adam Cole is down, Zelina kind of motions for JR to get into the ring. And JR gets into the ring and goes, well, Zelina, you obviously want me to interview you here. So Zelina and Andrade, of course, good win. And what are your thoughts, of course, now after this big momentum shifter? And, JR goes to hand the mic to Andrade, and Zelina just like slowly pushes it towards her. And she goes, it's no surprise, JR, that A, you ignored me and went straight to Andrade, when I've been the one who's been doing all of the interviews when I've been in here. Do you not understand? I'm the one who talks. They don't talk. I talk. You know that. So get it right. It's no surprise Andrade beat a wuss like Adam Cole. Beat a simp like Adam Cole. After all, he's not any stronger than his girl, who's still too weak and was too scared to fight me in that tournament. And as a result, I now know the kind of woman that Dr. Britt Baker is. Maybe as a doctor, she should go see a psychologist to wonder why she married such a pussy. But a real man, if she wants to know what a real man looks like, look at my man, Andrade. And that is an easy way to display the best thing going in ACPW. Let's go. As Zelina goes to leave and Andrade, they start walking up the ramp. And then all of a sudden you hear, as JR has now gone down to Adam Cole, hey, first of all, I don't appreciate anybody talking about my wife. And anyone who talks about my wife like that, say what you want with me, but they don't get away with it. But it's obvious, Zelina, I can't hurt you. I can't hit you, because that wouldn't be right. So I'm just going to let her do it. Winter Warfare, she's going to be cleared. Zelina, one-on-one Britt Baker. And trust me, I'll be there to make sure nothing goes down. And so now Zelina obviously upset with that. She starts getting upset, and Andrade's kind of calm her down, but she's a little bit enraged. So now we get another matchup for our extravaganza Winter Warfare. It is going to be Zelina Vega with Andrade at ringside, one-on-one with Britt Baker with Adam Cole at ringside.
Interesting that you have two couples basically fighting each other, and you have the women being the stars of it.
Well, I want to get this women's division over, and I can't just do that if they're just having title matches.
Right, because women's division needs secondary storylines or secondary matches or secondary feuds.
Exactly. And that's really where the premise of this is I want to have them have this match. I thought about doing a mixed tag, but that'd just be hard to book.
One, it'd be hard to book. Two, it would be diminishing the women in a way because the story's really about them.
Right.
And three, you can always save that for later as an escalation of the feud if you wanted to.
Right, and not for nothing, we just got Andrade and Adam Cole. We have not gotten Zelina and Britt Baker, even though it has been advertised to us now pretty much twice.
Right. And the other thing too is that Adam Cole, I know he's not doing the most important thing in your company, but Adam Cole's talent is so good that he can be diverse and you can use him in many roles, and eventually he could rise to that top if you give him the opportunity.
Well, and it still fits in with Adam Cole still favoring his wife over everything else, even if it costs him matches, like in this situation. But now that Britt's going to be back in action, and Zelina and Britt, those are my two original women.
Right. They're the women that started AEW.
That's right.
So you have to have them be the star. Well, two of the bigger stars of your division.
Right.
Besides Serena Deeb and one Camille.
Right. And that way, it also recognizes that these women have been putting in work from the start, too. The fact that these two are going to get a match, it's only fitting that here we are at the end of year 2, in our timeline. These two women deserve a match with each other for how hard they've been putting in. And I think they deserve it on a main show like this.
Right, and it's a good thing. Now, here's the thing, though. That match, it's Britt Baker and Zelina Vega. In real life, with that match, how do you think that match would go?
Fine. Depends on how it was. Depends on the finish.
Well, let's see what that finish is in 1 month's time.
That's right. So we will find out pretty soon. And we are already over halfway here. And I'm very happy about that, because normally it takes like 50 minutes for me to get out my early stuff. So we'll keep this going. We got another match.
That you kept Brian Cage and Randy Orton short, because once they go long, they go long.
Yeah. And but again, this is a go-home show, so nothing major needs to happen here.
Especially because most of the pay-per-view has already been set up.
That's right. Now we've got a one-on-one match with another debut. It is Dustin Rhodes versus Richard Holliday.
Okay, then.
And this match, I know it's a little surprising to put it this late on the card, but considering like how all of these matches are booked, pretty much, I'm not really that worried about it. This match, I am going to give Richard Holliday, though. I'm going to give this 10 minutes. Because I do want Richard Holliday, even though I'm not going to have him in the highest position, I do want him still... He's still a much younger guy than Dustin, so I'm not necessarily sure that Dustin needs to beat him super convincingly.
And he shouldn't be, because Dustin at this point, even though he is talented, he is an older guy. He's going to have trouble against younger wrestlers like Richard Holliday.
Right.
Who probably use his speed in order to get the advantage.
And we're seeing how Dustin's going to be in a hell of a fight with Cody, which is going to in a bull rope, which is going to be much different. I don't really see a problem with him going. I'm not saying this is going to be the most competitive matchup you've ever seen, but it's going to be more competitive than one would suspect. Even though Dustin's still going to win this, it's not necessarily... I still want Richard Holliday to be still considered worthy of being on the roster.
You want Richard Holliday to look like a solid mid-card wrestler, and that's what he needs to do, and Dustin will do it with him.
Yes. Here's the fun part I'm having with this. Dustin's going to win this with his curtain call, but before he does it, he hits a bionic elbow.
Oh.
And the crowd
finishing move
popped.
Of the dream.
Yes, and the crowd popped like hell for this because it was Dustin doing it. And Dustin, and as this happens, we get a moment. This pretty much finishes up. Dustin gets the win. And as Dustin's walking up the ramp, there is Katie Forbes, who walks out and starts shaking her ass. And immediately Dustin starts looking around, looking behind him, suspecting the attack is coming, right? And
right.
He's going to suspend, and he turns around and he looks at the audience. And as he looks down at the audience, there's Cody, who runs right down the ramp. So as he suspects the attack from behind, Cody actually comes from behind, throws him in the ring, and has a bull rope in his hands. And just gets 4 or 5 big thwaps with that bull rope, and actually pulls Dustin's bodysuit down, so that you're actually seeing this bull rope hit against raw flesh. Wham! Wham! wham. And it's after the third or fourth that finally security gets in there and like starts to pull it away. But you could see the burn, the welts. You could actually see the skin's been broken a little bit on Dustin's back. And Cody, it looks like a man possessed. And whether it's because of the bionic elbow or the words that Dustin said last week, Cody is charged up. And, you know, eventually he never breaks eye contact with Dustin as security kind of pushes him back out of the arena. And it's worth noting, Cody's not in ring gear for this, right? He's in like just cowboy, you know, I don't want to say cowboy boots, but he's in just jeans, like casual clothing. Because
right, he probably has on like a hoodie or something.
Yeah.
And probably some boots. And he's just laying it down on Dustin.
Yeah. And with the bull rope, you could see it. And then Dustin sells this for a really long time. Like the medical, I mean, he's still, you know, he's able to get up. You know, they're not doing, this isn't like a hospitalization angle or anything like that. But he takes plenty of
security has to help him to the back, and he has to reach for his back each and every time.
He takes plenty of time to show the people just how cut up his back really is, to add to the sympathy of the moment.
And to preview some of the violence that will happen in a bull rope match.
That's right. And so that is what we are getting. So that's this. So this was multi-purpose, but it still keeps the heat on Cody, but it also prepares them for the intensity that's coming.
That's good. That's good. Now, here's the thing. Security, again, not very good in upstate New York or the entire state of New York. Get better security, people.
Well, this is a wrestling challenge. And
in the history of professional wrestling, security has always been bad.
That's right.
So be the wrestling company that has good security.
That's right. Do the best you can. So now we've got Tony Schiavone in the back, and he goes, "Hello, once again, I am Tony Schiavone, and I am back here with MJF." And MJF is smirking, and he goes, "Well, MJF, you've had quite a rocky road here in the past few weeks, exchanging words with one Roman Reigns, and I have heard word that he in fact will be at Winter Warfare, and that match is confirmed that you will be facing him at Winter Warfare. What are your thoughts on him accepting your challenge?" And MJF goes, "Tony, a lot of people don't like me, and a lot of people don't like me speaking the truth. And Roman Reigns is one of those people, because I told him he wasn't worthy of putting my name in his mouth. And what did he do? He came here, he ran his mouth, put half of the people to sleep, then went and defended his little Hasbro gaming championship over there on the West Coast. And I'm supposed to be intimidated by this guy? I understand why. I understand why this guy thinks that he helped me by mentioning my name. And the reason is, he must be so jealous that I, who came from plenty wealthy family, but I didn't need my family to get myself ingrained as a must-watch in this business. Roman Reigns, the only reason Roman Reigns was ever champion is that the cucks on the West Coast are afraid of his relatives. So they made him champion. And it must eat you up, Roman Reigns, inside to know that you're the least interesting member of a family that includes Nia Jax.
Ooh.
And it must be really infuriating knowing that you and her are more similar than any of the rest of the family because you both brag and share the exact same hole.
Ooh.
And so I want to make it very clear, Roman Reigns, that when you arrive at a real wrestling company to see how real wrestlers wrestle for championship gold that is truly the achievable standard in professional wrestling, you, Buffalo, New York, and the entirety of Charlotte, North Carolina are going to witness the true greatness and the reality that you've always known and you're afraid to admit because your buddies and your family won't be there to protect you. That I'm better than you, and you know it. Bravo, Maxwell. And in from the side walks Paul Heyman. Hey, now easy. I could see you're already upset with me. You haven't even heard what I'm going to say. I'm not getting involved with what you and Roman Reigns are doing. I've got too much other business here in ACPW to get involved with such things. However, I do come with a message. Just a message. Well, actually, two things. I come with, first, this message. Roman Reigns is very interested in competing against you at Winter Warfare. He is very interested in seeing whether all this hype, whether all this talk is truly worth the time of the tribal chief. But more also, he's inviting you, when this is all said and done, to come and see what you consider that Hasbro Championship. He'd be glad to have you sit at the table that he's the head of and witness what he is truly known to do. But until then, MJF, he'll see you in Charlotte. Oh, and take this. And he hands MJF an envelope. And MJF takes it, and Paul goes, now, if you'll excuse me, this is my time. I need this time. And MJF looks at Paul Heyman and goes, let's make one thing straight, Paul. I like you, but I have no problem kicking your ass if I find you anywhere close to this matchup. You ruin the integrity, I ruin more than just your face. Although, come to think of it, I might make it better.
Oh, boy.
So, Paul Heyman gives an envelope to MJF and invites MJF over to the NWL at some undisclosed location and time.
So first things first, I thought you were going to go with The Rock and Roman Reigns relatives, and then you go the other way around and hit him with the Nia Jax angle. Thank you for subverting my expectations.
Yes, swerve!
But that's the thing, is that we know MJF, like, I call Paul Heyman one of the best promos in wrestling. Well, MJF is the other contender that has to be up there.
Yeah.
Because Paul Heyman, as good as he is, he's only a manager. MJF is a wrestler, and his promo ability, who does it remind you of?
It reminds me of a lot of people. I mean, definitely he's got a bit of Roddy in him. Roddy Piper, that is.
Right, there's a little bit of Roddy Piper. There's that little bit of the arrogance of a Randy Orton back when he was younger.
Yep, I could see that.
Like, MJF, the best thing about MJF is that he borrows all these elements from all these great promos. A little bit of the Roddy Piper, a little bit of a Randy Orton, even a little bit of Jim Cornette. And he makes it his own. And that's the most important thing, is that whenever you hear an MJF promo, it's his own promo. He has a style to it. He has expressions, the way he moves around, the way he looks at people, the way he smiles or smirks.
Yeah, and even just putting the words in his mouth now, I don't do it anywhere near the justice, that MJF is really capable of, because he is truly an incredible talent, especially with the work that he's done of late. I implore you all, watch that MJF and CM Punk 18-minute segment. It will fly by.
And the amazing part is that CM Punk, you could argue he was better than MJF, but actually I think MJF did a better job.
I do too. Not that Punk was bad. Don't get me wrong. Punk was just as good. But MJF he's so young. He's already good enough to teach a master class, and he's only going to get better.
Right, and that's the thing, is that MJF, he was the one who was carrying that promo. If you notice, Punk was sitting back and letting MJF do most of the talking.
Yep.
So it's on MJF to carry that promo, and he did. Now, the thing about it is that MJF, as good as he is as a promo, can he stand up to Roman Reigns in the ring?
Well, that's really what this is all about. I wanted MJF to get a few of those old MJF barbs of old in. Just trying to kind of add a little bit more dirt into this as they go into this match. But, I think the fans, at this point, because of how good MJF is on the mic, even if he makes, slams, that some could consider heat, I think at this point the recognition of how good he is supersedes that.
Because the people like him. They want to listen to him zing other people. Like
Yeah.
that line that he did to Paul Heyman about making his face look better after he's done with it.
Yeah.
That would get a pop.
It would. It totally would. You know, and it's little stuff like that makes MJF so good. So I'm very much
another establishment of Paul Heyman possibly having two of the biggest forces in our companies on his side.
Well, we don't know, because we don't know with Heyman and Roman Reigns, but we know that they've at least interacted. From last week on ACPW with the quick exchange when Brock came out to this point, they have at least talked. So, interesting.
Right, and we will have to see what happens with Roman Reigns later tonight. He has another opponent in Drew McIntyre, who has been a thorn in his side.
Right, coming in the at Wrestle Festival, which we'll get to very shortly. We're close to done. We are close to done, which means there's another.
Paul Heyman.
Go ahead.
Now, question: Paul Heyman asked for the time. Is he going to continue talking?
Well, no, I think MJF just kind of shut him down. And then we had to go to break. He is actually not going to continue talking. I was going to have him cut the Brian Cage promo there, but then I actually had him show up at the beginning, so I'm going to kind of renege that.
It's kind of like Paul Heyman was about to say something. MJF delivers that line, and Paul Heyman kind of frowns, and you can see in his eyes how angry he is, and he just walks off.
Paul Heyman gets shut up for the first time, and if there's anyone to do it, it's MJF.
Exactly.
Now, we got a tag match. As we mentioned, all of the champions will be in action, but this is not going to be very exciting. It is Wrestling's Finest with Roderick Strong, which means that it's Fish and O'Reilly versus Private Party.
Oh.
This match goes 6 minutes.
I'm going to guess a Finest victory.
It is definitely a Finest victory. It is, but the way that this is done is that the Roderick Strong actually pulls as they're trying to get a hot tag to Mark Quinn. Roderick Strong pulls down Mark Quinn off the apron as the referee was distracted with Fish in the corner who was trying to get in. So they block off the tag, and then because he's incapacitated, he hits the Fisherman Buster 1, 2, 3.
But that's about what I expected.
So then JR is in the ring with Wrestling's Finest, and he goes, well, you have requested this time. I was actually not supposed... you requested this time prior to the show. Arn Anderson has granted it, so I really don't know what to ask you guys. You have decided you have an announcement to make. And Bobby Fish, or Kyle O'Reilly, gets on the microphone. He goes, well, before we make this announcement, I was told that we're supposed to face the Hardys at Winter Warfare for the ACPW Tag Team Championships. We would like the Hardys to come out here so we could tell this to them face to face. And so Matt and Jeff, out come the Hardys. And the Hardys stand, on one side, and so now we've got some very combustible elements in the ring together, who have not been in the ring together since the titles were exchanged.
Oh boy, are there combustible elements in this ring.
And Kyle O'Reilly says, gentlemen, we were told we were supposed to face you guys because you had the championships that we took from you because we beat you because we're obviously superior, but we wanted to let you know from our mouths that we're not going to wrestle you at Winter Warfare. And we'll tell you why we're not going to wrestle you at Winter Warfare. We're not going to wrestle you at Winter Warfare because we will not fuel your addictions. Because this is proof in the pudding that the Hardys don't belong in professional wrestling anymore. We made an embarrassment out of you. Rather, you've made an embarrassment out of yourselves since coming to ACPW. So just recognize what all of us here recognize. It's time to put it away. We're not giving you this match because we will not fuel your addiction to pro wrestling, because both pro wrestling and you two will be better without it. You're welcome. And Matt kind of laughs, and Jeff kind of laugh, and JR gives, hands the mic over to, and of course this gets a rain of boos. What do you mean we're not getting the match that we wanted? And Matt Hardy gets the mic and goes, I know what this is. And, whether you called us down here to make this announcement or not, we were going to come out here to make sure that we get this title match. And we will be getting this title match. But I know why you don't want to fight us. I know why you don't really want to fight us. Because Jeff and I have seen teams like you over 20 years. We've been in this business a long time. We're not disputing that. And we've seen so many people jealous of the fact that the Hardy name will go down as one of the greatest tag teams of their generation. And we're very blessed to have had that career pretty much just writing and fighting and clawing our way to the top. Sometimes literally. When there were things dangling above us and we go to grab those things. We've done it all in this business. World champions, tag team champions. And the fact that you want to be the Hardys with the resiliency, with the reputation of the Hardys. I've seen it in you. I see it in you right now. And you guys aren't getting any younger either. And if I must add, take it from me, you chose a pretty ugly Lita.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
hey, point of semantics, is the one who wears the belt on top or bottom? Because when I used to do it, and before that goes any further, Bobby Fish goes, "Oh, that's real cute. You want to make some sports entertainment jokes to make for a cheap pop? That's real cute. You want to know why we're not giving you this matchup? I want you to look into my eyes here, because comedy time's over, Matt. The reason we're not giving you this matchup is that we despise you. We despise everything about you. We despise your name. We despise your little gimp suits. We despise the high-flying moves. We despise the championships. We despise everything that you've ever done. And the reason is that you have made life hard for real wrestlers with the high-flying stunts, getting the high stunts that you've performed in the ring, getting too intoxicated to wrestle. Both of you getting too intoxicated to wrestle. Some of you breaking literally, some of you breaking your body and breaking your mind with those drugs. Can you even, how many of us are you seeing? There's only 3 of us here. I hope you know that. We despise everything you are because you represent everything wrong with professional wrestling. You're what Dark Side of the Ring is made of.
Ooh.
And we are actual professional wrestlers who take pride and integrity in our sport. That's why we're called wrestling's finest. And if you want this title shot, you're going to have to do a lot better than we're the Hardys to get it. Because we want you gone. We want you out. We want you back home with your ugly wife and your 4 ugly kids. We want you back home snorting whatever it is you feel like snorting that particular day. Because you make us look bad by your presence. So unless you've got something interesting for us, go home. You're probably drunk. And Matt Hardy, go and actually Jeff goes and actually says to Matt, and Jeff wants the mic. And he goes, "Congratulations, guys. You hit the lowest hanging fruit. You hit the lowest fruit of what made us flawed as human beings. You did a great job. You talked about our previous lives. You've talked about issues and struggles that we've both overcome. I hope you're really proud of yourselves. But you see, we've thought, we've been in this business 20 years. We're adults. We don't need childish insults. And you want something more on the line? We'll give you something more on the line. At Winter Warfare, we will be facing you for those tag championships. And if we lose, you want us gone? Fine. We put up both our careers. Because at the end of the day, win or lose, all we've ever done is compete for those championships. And if it so happens to be our last match at Winter Warfare, our careers will be celebrated and remembered. Will yours? And it's very tense. Like they're about to come to blows, but it seems, they kind of keep their distance. There's no physicality, and that's how the segment ends.
Okay, so hold on. Do World Wrestling's Finest accept that stipulation?
Well, as it starts to get combusting, as it looks like they're combusting, Wrestling's Finest kind of leaves the ring because the Hardys are not backing down, and you can see the mouths, "You're on." So it's happening.
Okay, so it is confirmed it's going to happen. Title versus career.
Yes, and we are going to get this. I'm about to actually run down the Winter Warfare card. That's the next thing on the show, which is why I didn't.
Well, hold on. Before we get there.
Yes.
I appreciate you giving the meat of the segment promo to Bobby Fish. Because Bobby Fish has always been kind of like the third or fourth guy in Undisputed Era.
Yeah.
And he kind of gets forgiven for how good he is. Maybe that's just because he's so underrated. But when he fires up, and you gave him the meat of that segment.
Yeah.
The only way that you could have ended it better is just say, "Now go home, Matt, to your ugly wife, and Jeff, why don't you go get drunk and die in a car crash?"
Yeah, well, I didn't want to go too morbid.
But I feel like that would be otherwise then you're going to go to blows.
Right. The only thing is I don't want to go so far to end up being the "I wish you died in the womb" moment or the Reed Flair moment.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
You know what I mean? It's like I get where that's coming from.
That dark side mention was good enough. And honestly, if Jeff Hardy ever did die in a DUI accident, his life would be a dark other side of the ring segment.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally. I mean, it's they both could probably make a case for it, but at this moment, this was, it had already gotten kind of personal, but now this gets to really the depth that it needed to go. Now the stakes really can't get much higher than this.
Right. It's either championship gold or going home.
That's right. So the Hardys putting their careers on the line to win those ACPW Tag Team Championships. Now, running down the card, this is what we've got for our matchups. So, and of course, there might be a couple matches added on at the beginning, just to kind of warm the people up. But this is our card. Are you ready?
Sure.
Winter Warfare out of Charlotte, North Carolina. We have Adam Page versus Shorty G with no time limit.
The match that could fight forever.
That's right. We have the ACPW Women's Championship, Camille versus Serena Deeb.
Yep.
We have Zelina Vega with Andrade at ringside going one-on-one with Britt Baker with Adam Cole at ringside.
Alrighty.
We have FTR with Jim Cornette going up against Beer Money. We have Randy Orton one-on-one with Eli Drake. We have Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman versus Brian Cage. We've got MJF going one-on-one with the National Wrestling League heavyweight champion, at least for now, Roman Reigns. We've got Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes in a bull rope match. And of course we have the ACPW Tag Team Championships, as we just mentioned, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly with Roderick Strong versus the Hardys, titles versus careers. And of course we have the ACPW Heavyweight Championship match of Jeff Cobb with Jim Cornette going one-on-one against Titus O'Neil.
Now, question, how many matches is that confirmed?
That is 9 confirmed matches.
I'm going to let you know that Wrestle Festival has 9 matches, 8 main card, and 1 preliminary.
So there you go.
So I would probably stick with that. That's a lot of matches anyways. You don't want to burn the people out.
Well, it might get a couple quick squashes to get people like Damien Priest. We'll see how it goes. We'll wait until we get there.
Right. It just depends on how many people you want to pay for that night.
That's right. Well, it is our biggest show of the year after all. And
you gotta get everyone on the card.
That's right. Well, not everybody, but important
Mostly
people.
everybody.
That's right. So we've got one more match and one final segment. it is our main event. It is Jeff Cobb versus Eddie Kingston with Homicide.
Imagine if Eddie Kingston could beat Jeff Cobb.
Now, as Eddie Kingston and Homicide are coming down to the ring, Eddie Kingston looks at Homicide, gives him a big hug, and just slaps his chest and goes, I'm handling this. And so Homicide goes to the back. Eddie's doing this alone.
Again, imagine if Eddie Kingston could beat Jeff Cobb. Now he's going to try and do it alone.
Jeff Cobb is, well, it makes sense. Eddie Kingston's facing the world champion. He wants to prove it on his own that he can hang with the champ.
Well, that's either smart or stupid, depending on your preference.
Well, I will give it this.
It's brave.
It's brave. This match is going to go 8 minutes. I don't want it to go horrifically long, but I do want Eddie Kingston to actually get some offense. He's not going to make Jeff Cobb bump. Sorry, Eddie. Just because I haven't booked you to be one of those guys who can do it. Yet. But you get some hella good offense in. You do get him on the outside of the ring. So there is you make progress. He gives you what you expect out of Eddie, which is heart. And that's
right. Like Eddie's not the biggest dog, he's not the strongest dog, but he will throw a mean punch. He'll probably make Jeff Cobb flinch a time or two with his punches.
Yes, but eventually Jeff Cobb just a little bit too strong, and I'm actually not gonna have Cornette interfere here. Except maybe what I'll do? I'll do this just because it's gonna work. One time when Eddie Kingston's coming off the ropes as Jeff Cobb is reeling a little bit. And the referee's not looking. Cornette hits Kingston on the back with the racket, but Kingston kind of no-sells it and kind of snaps up because Kingston's like, and he looks at Cornette and kind of just flips him off and turns around and ducks a Jeff Cobb clothesline to hit another piece of offense so it doesn't necessarily hurt him. But when he goes for the second piece, the momentum is just too much. Deadlift power slam, Jeff Cobb pin, 1, 2, 3.
That's your lot.
That's your lot. And now we get the last little piece here, but a valiant effort from Eddie Kingston. It just wasn't enough on this night. And
well, who knows? His night may come soon enough.
That's right. But now Cornette gets into the ring, and here's JR, and Jeff Cobb is out, and Cornette goes, Jim, I love you, just like Paul does, but let me handle this because this is going to be a big confrontation and I don't want you getting hurt. Legitimately don't want you getting hurt. We got a lot of hosses here, but no one is hossy as what I'm about to do. So, thank you, Jim. I'll buy a bottle of your barbecue sauce or something. I don't know. And JR is going to leave this one to these guys. And I think this is the right move because as much as I want JR there,
you don't want to endanger his life.
This is volatile. And I wanted to sell it as volatile as well. And Cornette's got the microphone and goes, now, for all of you here in Buffalo, New York, you've just gotten a little taste of what Jeff Cobb is capable of, but you already know this. As the greatest world champion ever to set foot, as the pure, perfect physical specimen ever to grace the earth, Jeff Cobb, the Hawaiian Lion, is undisputed in his championship glory. But there's been something going around. There's been words going around that have kind of irked me the wrong way. And so I'm going to take this moment. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care if all of you are sitting here listening to me talk until your kids have to be put to bed and they're crying all the way home. You deserve it, Buffalo. I need to talk with the number one contender. Because it's happening. I can't stop it from happening despite the clear collusion against myself and the cult of Cornette, which I won't get into now. But I got to say something to Titus O'Neil. And if he wants to prove he's not the coward that we know him to be, he'll come here and take this verbal evisceration to the face. And no sooner did he get that out of his mouth, that Titus O'Neil is power walking to the ring.
No music.
No
all
music.
anger.
No music. They don't even have the time to cue the music up. That's how fast Titus O'Neil gets out. And within seconds, he wants to go right up and charge at Cornette, but Cobb gets in the way. And there's the big stare down. but it's not happening yet. It goes, easy, boys. Easy, save it for when it counts. Titus, I want to get one thing straight with you. Because a lot of people have been accusing me of things, wanting to cancel me per se, because of what the disagreements, let's say, between you and I. Let's get one thing straight. When I ordered you to be tarred and feathered, that was in no way racially charged. I'm not that kind of person. I don't care at all about the color of your skin when I order you to be tarred and feathered. I ordered you to be tarred and feathered purely out of the content of your character. Because every time you've stepped in the ring with Jeff Cobb, you've been afraid. You've been in awe at the specimen that has stood before you, which is why you haven't been able to get it done against Jeff Cobb, not once, but twice. Which is why I don't understand why you're getting this championship match again. But look into my eyes when I tell you this, Titus. I understand a yellow man when I see him, and that has nothing to do with whether his skin is white or black or green or purple, because cowardice is internal. And the fact is, you're afraid to accept the truth, Titus. And the truth, Titus, is that you don't belong with the top names in this business. Prior to ACPW, prior to this big humanitarian lie that you've protruded upon the people, you were the butt of everyone's jokes. You were a comedy piece, oohing around like a goof. You were sliding under rings in foreign countries. You were the butt of memes. You were the ends of professional wrestling jokes. You were the laughing stock of the professional wrestling world. So why, in God's green earth, should I accept that you are anything other than that? Your career reputation is what it is. And this building up and doing all this charity work on the side to make it seem like you're this big person, like you're somehow bigger person, I get what it is. It's a front. It's a front because you've had to accept that you are plain, you are boring, you are ordinary, you are subpar. Not unlike these people in Buffalo, actually. So it's no wonder they cheer you. Because they see you and they see failure. And trust me, there is no city that knows failure quite like Buffalo.
Boo! You suck! You suck! You suck! But you're not wrong.
And Titus O'Neil, I want you to look into my eyes and then look into the eyes of your clear superior. Because when Jeff Cobb beats you at Winter Warfare for the third time, that's it. It's over. It's done. And at that point, you will finally recognize that you are the coward I know you to be. That you will tremble in fear of being in this position because you know you don't belong in this position. Not because of your skin tone, but because you're simply not good enough.
Ooh.
And Jeff Cobb goes to hand it back to JR, and Titus O'Neil yanks it from him and goes, "Oh no. First of all, you better be careful what you say about these people in Buffalo because they don't call it Bill's Mafia for nothing." Hooray!
Yay! GP, G-pop.
Jim Cornette, you can justify what you've done any way you want. You could justify that it's not racially charged. You could say it's because I'm a coward. I've heard all that before. And the funny thing is, every man who's hiding insecurity has another good excuse the next week when he's pressured again. Personally, I don't care why you did it. I'm not here for what justification you have for yourself. I'm here for what you did. And the fact is, you lit a fire underneath me, Jim Cornette. A burning, passionate fire of kick your sorry ass in front of the world And trust me, the reason these people are behind me isn't just because I represent what these people are, because everybody knows my backstory. Everybody knows I came from nothing and I rose through the ranks to get to this spot. I busted my ass harder than anyone to get to this spot. And these people love me because they know that I know what their life is like. I relate to these people because they are my people, something you'll never understand. And when it comes to Charlotte, North Carolina, these people in Buffalo, those people in North Carolina, and everyone who tunes in the ACPW are going to be behind me because they're going to get to see your sorry ass kicked. Because you humiliated me, Jim Cornette, and I vowed then and there I wouldn't rest or sleep for an instant until you felt that same embarrassment, that same humiliation that I felt. And the first way to do it is taking what you love the most, and that's that ACPW Heavyweight Championship. I take away your power and bring it back to the people come Winter Warfare. And when it's over, Jeff, I want you to remember just who did this to you. Because it wasn't me. You just happen to be the guy who is run by the man who caused you to lose. That's Jim Cornette. Because the final shot of Winter Warfare will be the true new People's Champion holding up the belt for them worldwide. And before he can finish it, Jeff Cobb takes the microphone.
Hey, is this the first time Jeff Cobb has spoken?
Yes. And Jeff Cobb says, the final shot of Winter Warfare will be your broken body worldwide. And there's an intense-ass stare down, and it looks like it's going to come to blows. It's about to come to blows when, before things get there, you know, it starts to get shouty, starts to get that, and look who's there, security.
Finally doing
to break it up. And they break it up, and Jim Cornette and Cobb leave the ring as Titus stares down. They never break eye contact, and that's the show.
Finally, security does their job.
That's right.
Now, I don't know if you intended it to have a slightly racial undertone, but I know it's there, and it's subtle, and it adds depth to the storyline that Titus O'Neil was humiliated by Jeff Cobb and Jim Cornette. He's out for revenge, and wouldn't the sweetest revenge be to take the title away from Jeff Cobb?
Yes.
To take the most valuable thing that Jim Cornette has away from him.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's where we're going with this. I mean, I set this up with Titus O'Neil basically at right around that Melee in Montreal is when I had this set up to go from this. And this is like they said, this is the third time that Titus O'Neil is facing Jeff Cobb. You know, it's
almost been what, a year long, basically?
It was a year and a half, because it was, I believe, in June or July when Jeff Cobb faced Titus O'Neil the first time, although Jeff Cobb didn't have the belt at that point. But from there, Titus O'Neil got the closest to actually pinning Jeff Cobb prior to that streak, which we haven't, before Brian Cage and all that jazz. And now we get a pretty big fight, against and Jim Cornette made some points. But Titus O'Neil, this is the fired up babyface, looking for revenge. We've built him to main event scene, but Jim Cornette just saying, not good enough.
You're just a B+ player.
Yeah, well, I mean, in not so certain terms, but if that's what the point needs to be getting across. But it also acknowledges that really up to this, prior to him getting into ACPW, Titus was the joke.
Right, like everything that Jim Cornette said was true, just twisted with that little heelish flavor.
Right, and then a pot shot at Buffalo, which is completely accurate.
Which is completely accurate.
And I was
more than you realize.
Yeah, but that's the best. It's like the cheap heel pop. It
is
in the same way of saying Bill's Mafia gets the cheap pop. You get the cheap heel pop by saying no one knows failure quite like Buffalo.
Hey, hit them with the regional sports. rumor has it that Seattle still hates Elias, even as we speak.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Seattle hates a lot of things right now, but we've got something exciting to watch. What are your overall final thoughts on ACPW before we get to the big show?
It's a good go-home show, and I look forward to Winter Warcraft 2.
Yes. Coming out of Charlotte, North Carolina, where there will be no snow. And,
Right. In the meantime, though, we have a big show to talk about.
Yes, it's time.
NWL Wrestle Festival 2.
Let's do this. My friend, I am so looking forward to this. Sky, the floor is yours.
Why, thank you. Now, before we begin, do you have your match card? I just emailed it to you.
I believe I do. I have not pulled it up, but I can pull it up.
Go ahead and pull it up so that way you can follow along. Make sure you pull up the second version.
All right, we have two versions here, and this is a good time to tell our loyal listeners that we are also still going to be having ACPW versus NWL the third week of December. We are also going to be hosting, I don't know whether we're going to do it on Christmas Day or whether it's like we did last year, whether it's going to be just a full-blown episode, but the Grapplies are coming back, our awards ceremony of our 2021 all sorts of match of the year, the best and the worst. I hope to have it be a live stream because I still have those fancy looking title belts that I'd like to showcase around. But in either case,
the week of Christmas. We can do it the fourth week of December, the week of Christmas. Our gift to you as we look forward to all the best and worst that wrestling had to offer in the year of 2021.
And there's quite a lot.
And we may even have Josh again in the pier.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good time. And if there's a category that you think we should include, put it in the comments section, because we will probably consider it. And we'll definitely consider it, but we will potentially add it, but we will definitely consider it. So get those comments a-flowing, and we will give you the grapplies that you deserve. Go ahead. I now have the match card up and ready. Let's do this.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and begin with the one preliminary show matchup. We'll look at the rankings cursory, but they're not that important because we pretty much know who's wrestling who.
Yep.
We're going to go to that preliminary show matchup. Drake Maverick versus Otis.
Oh, jeez.
Now, notice again that I have clean-shaven Otis because he's been clean-shaven for a couple months now.
That's right.
Guess how long this match goes?
3 minutes.
Fair. I'll give it 3 minutes.
All right.
It's quick, painful, simple. Otis wins, no problem.
Got to have a match like that for Otis, especially considering that way that you're trying to kind of turn that whole thing around.
Right. So we're going to go ahead and go to a promo now with Heath Slater, who is all fired up saying, "Yeah, baby! Look at Otis. Look at what he's been doing. All because of me. Aren't you just grateful, Otis, for being a piece of crap before, and now you're something? All because a little bit of a shave, if you know what." And Otis grabs the microphone.
Oh?
Heath, I've had enough of this. Listen here. You have been saying terrible things about me for the last few months, and I let you talk because that's what you do. I want you to understand something. You had nothing to do with my success. I won all my matches on my own, without your help. I don't appreciate the fact that you shaved me, but now that I think about it, it doesn't look that bad. But the worst part is that you claim that you changed me? No, I am the one who changed me. And listen here, you've been abusing me for far too long, and I've had enough of you. But understand something, Heath Slater, I don't give a damn about your kids. I don't give a damn about you. Don't get in my way, or else. And then he gives a quick sucker punch to Heath Slater, who goes down and walks off.
That would probably get very much cheered. And
until the sucker punch.
Until the sucker punch. Well, maybe even the sucker punch, because Heath has been a pretty good slimy heel promo of late. But I think this separation is healthy. I just have to disagree that Otis without the beard does look bad. But that's not necessarily...
He needed a different look.
It's not your fault.
You can argue whether or not it's good look, but it's a different look.
Yeah, no, that's not in any way your fault or anything negative about NWL. It's just having seen what he looked like shoving pizza triangles into his face during the Battle Royal last week.
And let's be clear. Let's be clear. He's not a joke on my show.
That's right. No, not at all. You know, again, I'm just saying, I missed the beard, and he was insufferable without the beard. But you're still doing him justice, which is what matters.
I suppose. Anyways, now we're gonna move on to the main show because screw that preliminary match.
All right, let's do this. Big matchups.
Only big matches, and we're gonna start with a singles match: Dominic Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio.
All right, let's go.
So we're gonna do 8 minutes. The match starts with an attempted collar and elbow tie-up. Dominic tries to grab Rey, and Rey just kicks him in the legs. We shine Rey for a little bit. Big spot is that Dominic, after being kicked several times, rolls outside the ring, and Rey does a Topa Suicida outside. Rey rolls Dominic back in at the count of 6. As Rey jumps up on the apron, Dominic comes up and kicks him in the face, and Rey takes a back bump to the barricade.
Damn.
And then refs counts at 8. Dominic rolls out, rolls back in, breaks the count, grabs Rey, throws him back in, starts working on Rey Mysterio's back. Eventually, Rey starts making his comeback. The finish for this match is that Rey has Dominic Mysterio down for the 619 on the ropes. He hits it, and then he's about to go to the top rope to do a West Coast pop. As he jumps up to the rope, Dominic Mysterio grabs the referee and positions the referee between him and Rey, so Rey would hit the referee. Rey sees this and jumps behind the referee. This gives Dominic Mysterio enough time to do a quick finger to the eye. Of course, the referee doesn't see it because he's dealing with Dominic. Rey goes down, grabbing his face, and Dominic quickly hits a DDT on Rey Mysterio, goes up to the top rope, does the shimmy shake, hits the frog splash in tribute to Eddie Guerrero. 1, 2, 3.
Dastardly. It's
I feel
you couldn't have Rey win this.
Huh?
You couldn't have Rey win this.
No.
There's no way that Rey could have won this, but I like this because it's a subtle heel move, not necessarily like a big Zabadav, like it's not a ref bump necessarily. I like the ref shield idea because then like if Rey's going all the way over the referee just for the fact that a human being just jumped over him is gonna need a second to kind of like get his bearings, like what the hell just happened here. And that is just enough time for Rey to hit that thumb to the eye. It's a subtle heel move, but it's really I really like this finish.
Right, and it's not as apparent as the last time when I had Dominic do the Eddie Guerrero, here's a belt, here's a chair, hit me with it thing that I did.
Right, but that was also necessary in building up what Dominic was trying to do as far as the impersonation of the gimmick, where that wasn't as necessary here with the exception of that ending piece.
Right. So anyways, Dominic grabs the microphone for a quick promo, and he just says very quickly, and you see that, folks? I won. I won because I'm better than my father, and nothing's ever going to change that. And the reason why I'm better than my father is that I realized who I am. Rey, your time has passed. It's done. The Mysterios are over. From now on, call me Dominic Guerrero. And this is a message to the National Wrestling League. My time is here. My time is now. I'm coming for you next.
Well, there's definitely more to be seen from Dominic Guerrero. You know, this obviously is not... I think that it's better to move on from Rey and have this just be one match, though. Unless this is going to happen with Rey, like, way later, where Rey comes back later. I think having a run of Dominic trying to be Dominic Guerrero makes sense as far as the nature of this feud, because the longer this has time to kind of simmer, the better it's going to be if Rey does come back and is the one to kind of knock some sense back into Dominic. But until then, you've got a good heel thing going.
But in the meantime, I need Dominic to start doing other feuds and start feuding with other people.
Right.
And this is a clean break for Dominic. He's beaten Rey Mysterio twice, both times cheating, but he beat him nonetheless.
Yep.
Now Dominic with his newly christened name can move on to someone else.
Yeah. No, this is all good, very nicely done, sir. You know, kind of putting a nice little bow on this while still keeping both of them their options open going into the coming weeks and months.
Exactly. Now we're going to move on to arguably a dream match in some places, a tag team match, Edge and Christian versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
It's amazing how stacked this show is that this is this low on the card.
It was a debate with myself whether or not to put this one or the tag team championship match up next. But my whole thing was that it's a title match.
Yeah.
It should be higher on the card.
It's the right thing to do. It is totally the right thing to do. I'm not knocking it at all. I'm just more ogling the strength of your card.
Well, thank you for ogling me, although I'm slightly offended and slightly worried and slightly going to call 911 on you.
All of which have happened before. It's just a part of it. It's just a part of the Court Martial podcast. That's why you think I called it the Court Martial podcast.
Oh, God. Okay. So anyways, this is going to be a 10-minute tag team match. Edge and Christian do the standard babyface shine. Kevin and Sami regroup. They eventually take advantage of Christian by running him into the ring post. Then they start doing heel work on him. Eventually, it leads to a hot tag for Edge, who runs house on Kevin Owens. And then eventually, it leads to a finish of Edge about to go for the spear. Sami tries the haluva kick, but Christian comes in and does a spear to Sami and clears up Edge to hit the spear on Kevin Owens for the 1-2-3.
Sounds like it would be a fun matchup. And the nostalgia gets the pop.
The nostalgia gets the pop, and they get the win.
And now, if you never see Edge and Christian again, that's fine too.
Because I'm not going to ruin the retirement for Edge, arguably the greatest story I've ever created, just because of a cheap pop.
That's right. But I
did it once.
They get this tag team right off into the sunset, and then maybe they have a little bit of extra moment to kind of embrace, do Edge and Christian.
The fans who have the benefit of flash photography.
Yeah, they do that thing one more time, and then, and you kind of get the vibe that, like, this was just to close this chapter of Edge's career to kind of put it truly to bed.
Right. Anyways, so Edge and Christian with the victory. Next, we're going to move on to another arguable nostalgia match, a 4-on-4 tag match. The New Day and Kurt Angle versus the Almighty Crew, and yes, Eric Bischoff is wrestling.
I just see him wearing that karate suit.
He's wearing the karate gi. Clear thing, this is a 4-on-4 tag match with one fall to a finish.
Okay.
This is not a Survivor Series match. That match comes up later,
Thank God.
by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyways, so 4-on-4 tag match. The most important part of this match is that Eric Bischoff and Kurt Angle do not tag in at all. This is the New Day and the Almighty Crew going at it, including some segments with Pat McAfee going head-to-head with Kofi Kingston, Big E and Bobby Lashley hossing up, Xavier and Apollo Crews going at. Kurt Angle and Pat McAfee are not tagging in at all until Kurt Angle gets a hot tag and starts going wild on the Almighty Crew. The New Day run interference, but then Bobby Lashley hits Kurt Angle from behind. At this point, Eric Bischoff wants the tag. So he gets the tag. Bobby grabs Kurt Angle, and Eric Bischoff does his little stalling punches and kicks to Kurt Angle, those humiliation stuff. The New Day then run in to attack Bobby Lashley, and Kurt Angle is all alone with Eric Bischoff. They're trying to wave him off. Eric runs to the ring ropes and is trying to ask for help. Apollo tries to jump up, but the New Day get in the way. Kurt Angle picks the leg and grabs it and starts doing the ankle lock, and Eric Bischoff taps out.
This was fun. This was a healthy finish. I knew that this was going to be a fun one to watch. And I'm sure it would have been. This would have been a fun 4-on-4, a little bit of chaos, but controlled chaos. And of course, Kurt coming back and beating Eric Bischoff.
Well, I'm not done yet.
Oh, well, what's going to happen now?
Because really, the big thing, Eric Bischoff was a pain, but the real pain in the ass was Pat McAfee. So the New Day grab Pat McAfee and they throw him in the ring too. And along with Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle is angry at Pat McAfee. He grabs Pat McAfee, hits the Angle slam, then he grabs the straps, he throws them off, he grabs Pat McAfee's leg and does the grapevine.
Until Pat taps.
Until Pat taps, and Kurt Angle is not letting go, and Pat McAfee is screaming out in pain until finally Kurt Angle finally lets him go after a couple minutes, and Pat is just clutching his leg.
They got to get the comeuppance. And this was the perfect place to do it, and good for Kurt.
Right, and the next time you see Pat McAfee, he's in a walking boot.
Nice. I like that. Because Pat knows how to sell an injury.
Knows how to sell an injury. Anyways, we're going to go backstage. Now we've had a couple of matches, we're going to go backstage. Hello, my name is Renee Hillman. No, sorry, not Renee Hillman. Renee Young. Sorry, wrong person.
I was like, who?
My name is Renee Hillman. Renee Young. Damn it. I have become Jim Ross.
You become Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone's gimmick of announcing who she is.
Shout out to Renee. She's a good friend at work. Anyways, my name is Renee Young, and with me at this time is the NWL Women's Champion Toni Storm.
All right.
I hate you, Sean. You're the one that got me messed up with the Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone gimmick.
You're the one who said what you said. You cannot pin that on me.
It is Memorial Day weekend, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, so Renee Young asked Toni Storm, how does it feel to win the championship and defend it for a whole year? Because she did win it last year at Wrestle Festival against Charlotte. And Toni says that she feels great. She's had a wonderful year as champion, taking on all comers. And wouldn't you believe it, a girl from the land down under has become the women's champion for a year. And she still can't believe she beat Charlotte, but she has put up a great challenge and she looks forward to the next one. And speaking of that, they have a 5-on-4 match with the Horsewomen, but the new generation, her, Raquel Gonzalez, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and one Piper Niven, not Dewdrop, have had issues in the recent weeks. And Renee and everyone else is wondering if Toni Storm can handle the issues that the new generation seems to be having. And Toni doesn't deny it. She says, these ladies, they're competitive. They want to win. And sometimes that gets in the way with each other. But I'll make sure that they'll work together because we have a common goal. And Renee Young asks about that common goal, how does it feel to wrestle against the Horsewomen, arguably the greatest women's wrestlers of her generation? And Toni doesn't deny it. There's a little bit of trepidation, a little bit of fear going up against the Horsewomen. But that fear is good because the fear of failure is what's driven her. She and the other new generation wrestlers are here to prove that their time is now. And she's not worried about the Horsewomen. She's not worried about the possibility of losing her title because the title is on the line. And I'll explain that stipulation a little bit later. But Toni is ready to bring the challenge to the Horsewomen, and she feels her ladies will step up.
Well, we'll have to see what happens. A 5-on-4 is definitely an interesting matchup, but it's with the title on the line, it's going to make things even more interesting than they already are.
Right. Now we're going to start going on to the next match, is the Tag Team Championships, the Usos versus the Motor City Machine Guns.
All right.
I'm going to give this 12 minutes. And the Motor City Machine Guns almost have the victory. The finish for this match is that they're lining up for their tag team finisher until one Uso kicks off Alex Shelley, and Alex Shelley goes down to the floor. And the Usos quickly recover. They quickly make a hot tag, if you will. Wait, hold on. Sean, give me 1 second.
I'm here.
Sorry, I had to pull up something real quickly.
It was his underwear, folks.
Anyways, so the Motor City Machine Guns are about to go for their finish on Jey Uso. Jimmy Uso grabs Alex Shelley and throws him out of the ring. Chris Sabin attempts to attack Jimmy, but runs into some knees. Jey Uso takes advantage, hits a super kick. The Usos go for a double splash on Chris Sabin for the cover 1, 2, 3.
I think it's smart having the Usos keep the belts at this point. because you're still selling how dominant the bloodline has been. And as great as the Motor City Machine Guns are, you've got more length out of keeping the belts in that faction rather than having the Motor City Machine Guns face several different tag teams. You know, I think it's just better as a heel tag team with the belts at the moment with the way that you've set everything up. I'm sure this was a great match, but the Usos, I think it was the right move to have the Usos retain.
Right, because there's no personal feud between the two teams. It's just for the titles.
Right.
I don't want to do that until, I get to that point.
Yeah, or
and
at least you have a
good
feud
challengers. They'll be back again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the next match, the NWL International Championship, number 5 Seth Rollins versus number 6 Shinsuke Nakamura, with the title and Seth Rollins' rank on the line.
All right.
Now, as you remember, Roman Reigns said not to disappoint Seth Rollins.
That's right.
So let's see if Seth Rollins disappoints Shinsuke. I'm going to give this match 15 minutes. This is a very back and forth match. There's not necessarily any healing or any cheating by Seth Rollins. He's just working Shinsuke. The finish for this match, however, sees Shinsuke going for the Kinshasa, and Seth Rollins collapses in the corner to run away from the Kinshasa. Shinsuke comes up to Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins grabs Shinsuke, throws him into the turnbuckle. And then Seth Rollins goes for the stomp, but Shinsuke is able to reverse it into a knee to the face of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins grabs his nose, and it looks like it's kind of broken. And this gives Shinsuke all the time he needs to recover, go off the ropes, and hit a Kinshasa from the ropes for the cover 1, 2, 3 on Seth Rollins.
Well, it's not necessarily like he did anything bad. It was a mistake. It was just a slight mistake. And that's all it took. And
probably Seth Rollins, he was probably, healing it up. He was like, oh, look at me. I'm so great. I'm about to win. And that's what cost him.
Yeah, being a smart ass, yeah, as a heel, I'm sure he was doing that, to get there. But really, it wasn't necessarily trying to cheat. He just made a simple mistake, and that was enough for it. But with the standard of excellence that the Bloodline is currently attempting to wield, may not go over so well.
It will not. Now, the next match is AJ Styles versus Keith Lee. Number 3 versus number 4. But these two have been fighting with each other for the past few months. And this match is a regular one-on-one match because Keith Lee defeated the club so badly that they got fired.
Yep. Hate to
AJ
see it.
on his own. So they do the collar and elbow tie-up, and Keith Lee just shoves AJ out of the way so hard that AJ has to roll out of the ring. So AJ gets back in the ring, and as Keith Lee charges him, AJ rolls out again. The referee gives AJ until the count of about 6 or so when AJ gets back in. Keith Lee charges him again, but AJ puts his head between the ropes, and the referee starts backing him off. And then Keith Lee tries to go for it one more time. AJ rolls out again, starts talking to the crowd, jawing with them. Keith Lee's had enough of this stalling, so he goes out the ring, starts charging, and then hits AJ with the pounce, launching Styles a good few feet away into the timekeeper's area.
Nice.
Keith Lee grabs AJ Styles, lifts him over his head like a gorilla press, and throws him into the ring. AJ is dazed, and Keith Lee gets in the ring, hits the spirit bomb for the cover 1, 2, 3. AJ never gets an offensive move in. The match lasts only about 4 or 5 minutes.
I like what you're doing here because you immediately have put Keith Lee as somebody who is going to be world title contending very soon. And he beat someone who has got that reputation. He's beat somebody like AJ Styles, who's not only competed in title matches in NWL, but has got the reputation that goes without saying. And because of how these guys have been facing each other for months, and AJ Styles and the club just getting one more step over, but Keith Lee fighting back every time, to the point where AJ Styles had no choice but to face Keith Lee properly one-on-one and didn't get a strike in. This is this is big waves for Keith Lee, and AJ Styles is AJ Styles, so he's got nothing to worry about.
Right. Plus, the other thing, too, is that Keith Lee's gone up against Roman Reigns before. It was because of AJ that he lost off of the distraction.
Yep.
And the way I'm going with this is that I need to get a little bit of a shorter match because I've had a lot of long matches on the card.
Sure.
Including the next match. Basically, it's a 5-on-4 Survivor Series match.
All right. Let's hear it.
It's the new generation: Raquel Gonzalez, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Piper Niven, and Toni Storm versus Charlotte, Bayley, Becky, and Sasha. Now, the women's championship is on the line with the hardcore rule stipulation. So if Toni Storm gets pinned or submitted, a horsewoman, whoever pins her or submits her, becomes champion. And then if a new generation wrestler pins that person, they become champion. So Toni Storm's title is on the line.
Okay.
Now, for the past several weeks, the new generation and horsewomen have been having one-on-one matches against each other in various combinations and styles, to build up to the show. Notably, the new generation are not getting along with each other. All the women seem to be having issues with each other. They don't have an issue when Toni Storm is working with them because she's the leader of them, but they are having issues. There's a lot of infighting with each other. Each one of the new generation wrestlers make their own entrance. When the horsewomen do their entrance, they do it all together.
Right.
Now, this match is a long match. I'm not going to pretend to say what happens. I'm just going to start off with 10 minutes of each of the women getting a chance to get into the ring. And the horsewomen are down in the beginning because there is a numbers advantage for the new generation. But it starts to deteriorate when they have Charlotte Flair. I'm going to start with her. Piper Niven has her. And then Raquel Gonzalez grabs Piper Niven's arm and tags the hand so she can tag herself in. It's not a backslap tag. She tags the hand.
I appreciate that.
So Raquel Gonzalez gets in and starts beating up Charlotte, and Piper grabs Raquel's hand and tags it. And these two women are starting to get mad at each other, and Toni has to get into the ring to calm them down. This gives Charlotte enough time to tag out to someone else. And then Bayley, who I'm going to have tag in, charges them until Bianca gets involved. So Bianca tags herself in order to, calm everything down. So Bianca and Baylor are wrestling for a little bit. And then Rhea Ripley tags Bianca Belair's hand without Bianca knowing. So Rhea Ripley tags herself in, and now Rhea Ripley and Bianca are having issues. And again, Toni Storm has to step in. And at this point, all 5 of the new generation women are inside the ring arguing with each other. And then the horsewomen, all 4 of them jump on the new generation ladies, and now it's total chaos, and the referee has lost control. So they start brawling, and then all the women are outside of the ring. And as the new generation and the horsewomen are fighting with each other, eventually it kind of goes down to just Charlotte and Toni Storm who are fighting with each other. And they're fighting by the timekeeper's area. Charlotte gets pushed off by Toni. Here comes Becky Lynch to attack Toni, but Toni takes out Becky. But this is enough of a distraction that allows Charlotte to spear Toni Storm through the timekeeper's area. And then the other horsewomen grab Charlotte, get her out, and then proceed to bury Toni Storm. Now, Toni is not the legal person, but she's basically been buried, so now it's just 4-on-4 for the moment.
Okay.
So they get back to the ring, and they're kind of settled down now. It's 4-on-4. At this point, Piper Niven is in the ring with Sasha Banks. Actually, let's make it Becky Lynch.
Okay.
So Piper Niven grabs Becky Lynch and proceeds to hit a power slam. And again, Raquel Gonzalez tags Piper's hand when she gets to the opportunity, goes for the pin. And Piper is angry at this, but she has to go out. The second that Raquel gets anywhere close to the corner, Piper tags herself in again. At this point, as Piper steps into the ring, Raquel grabs Piper Niven's throat and hits a choke slam on Piper Niven.
Damn.
And at this point, Raquel Gonzalez walks out. She's done. So Becky does the cover on Piper Niven for the 1-2-3. Piper Niven has been eliminated, and Raquel Gonzalez is being counted out, and eventually she gets counted out,
Yep.
So Piper Niven and Raquel Gonzalez have issues with each other, and they've left their team down 3-4.
Well, that's
or 3-2, according to Jimmy Smith.
or 10-on-10, if you're also
or
Jimmy
10
Smith.
On 10. Anyway, so now it's Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley versus the Horsewomen, and Bianca and Rhea Ripley having their own issues. And eventually, what happens is that Bianca Belair is in the ring with Bayley, and Bianca gets a tag with Rhea Ripley, and they're working together. But then Bianca tells Rhea Ripley to hold Bayley. She grabs the hair, and she's going to do the hair whip, but Bayley gets out of it and hits Rhea Ripley with the hair whip, does Bianca.
Oh, oops.
And, of course, they're wondering what the hell's going on. Bayley tags out to one Charlotte Flair, who rolls up Rhea Ripley as she's distracted for a 1-2-3 as Bianca Belair is held off by Sasha Banks and Becky.
This isn't looking good.
No, it's not. The Horsewomen quickly get out of the ring. Bianca tries to apologize to Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley just grabs Bianca Belair, hits the riptide, and walks out. And this allows Sasha Banks to tag in and cover one prone Bianca Belair, and she's eliminated.
So it's everybody against the buried Toni Storm. So now which one of these 4 horsewomen is going to want to win this belt? This should be interesting.
Right. So Toni Storm, as I said, is buried. At this point, she is up, but she realizes that all of her team's been eliminated. And Toni Storm is a wounded animal. The horsewomen grab her, throw her in, and all 4 of them surround the 4 ring ropes. And then they jump in and attack her shield style. Toni's trying to do her best, but it's an assault.
Yeah.
She gets backstabbed by Sasha Banks into a Bexploder from Becky Lynch. As Toni wobbles to her feet, Bayley grabs her and hits the Bayley the belly and allows Charlotte to come in with a spear. And then as Toni is lying prone in the middle of the ring, all 4 horsewomen put 1 foot on her. And the ref counts it 1, 2, 3.
So
and now, hold on, let me continue. Now the horsewomen have won the match, and they get a microphone. We're going to start with Charlotte, okay?
Okay.
So Charlotte says, you all thought that our egos were going to make us fight with each other. You all thought we couldn't get along. That's really, really sad. Don't you know? We're the horsewomen. We've been together since the beginning. Yeah, we fight with each other sometimes, but when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And the 4 of us, we're the toughest women in this business. So she hands the microphone to Bayley. And that's right, you all are idiots. Don't you think you should pay attention to your role models? See, we're smarter than you because we know the stipulation. Any woman that pins Toni Storm becomes champion. So she hands it off to Sasha Banks. And because all 4 of us pinned her at the same time, that means that all 4 of us are champion right now. Don't you see? This is the horsewoman rule. Any one of us can defend the championship. And you don't know who's going to do it. But the fact of the matter is that the 4 horsewomen are exactly that. 4. Becky ends it. So line up your women's division. Take your best shot. You don't know who you're going to wrestle against. But the horsewomen, we roll together. And at the end of the day, we're all the NWL Women's Champion. And you can't do anything about it. And they hold up the 4 fingers.
I like where you're going with this. I like the idea of making this just a free bird rule with the 4 women.
Because technically it was whoever pinned or submitted her, and because they all did it at the same time, they all technically pinned her.
Well,
even though it's not the correct ruling because it's only supposed to be 1 person and 1 legal person, but we're going to go with that.
Well, you know what would be interesting is maybe somebody in the office at the NWL notices said technicality of, well, only Sabada was legal, so technically only Sabada is champion, and then they can rough him up and just do the Freebird rule that they want to do to begin with.
Right, but that would be a TV thing.
Right, yeah, that would be, but if it's definitely an interesting way to work with the horsewoman because now you've got a lot of diversity as to where you can take the women's championship going forward.
Because the idea is that I can have a different horsewoman defend the title each and every time.
Well, until one of their egos eventually gets the better of them, which you know is going to happen.
Right. Now, what do you like the idea of the separate feuds I have set up?
Well, if we didn't just watch Survivor Series that was basically all based on countouts and teammates hating each other, I'd probably have taken this way more fondly. I still love the way you booked it, but blame WWE for doing it so badly that I don't want to see teammates not getting along ever again.
It's the tired trope that I had to get to in
I
order
know.
to get to the finish.
I know. It's not a knock or a criticism. It's WWE's fault purely.
But here's the thing. I have Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, which is going to be good. Piper Niven and Raquel Gonzalez. Do you want to know what that sounds familiar like?
What does that sound familiar like?
South Carolina Championship Wrestling. Yeehaw!
That's right.
Did it first.
Which is coming up at some point.
Joshua did it first in October when I was planning this show. And if you go back and listen to it, I sounded happy and not happy at the same time.
Yes. And
I
this
hate
is
you,
why.
Joshua. You stole my damn idea.
And this is why. But now we will get it in NWL where people will actually watch it if you follow our kayfabe. But we have one last match, and boy, is it a doozicle.
And speaking of stealing...
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of petty theft. It is.
It's the NWL main event. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. One fall to a finish. 30-minute time limit. The loser must kneel down and hand the championship to the winner.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to give this match 20 minutes. I'm going to make it a Roman Reigns style match. I mean, you've seen how Roman Reigns style matches work.
I know what you mean.
Finish for the match is Roman is about to go for the spear. I'm going to, for the sake of this, say that they both already kicked out of each other's finishers one time each.
Sure.
So Roman's going to go for the spear again, but Drew blocks it by basically grabbing him and hitting a suplex. And he's going to go for the Claymore, but actually he does the ooh-ah that Roman Reigns does.
Yep.
And he's going to go for the spear. And as he's about to go for it, here come the Usos.
Of course.
Drew McIntyre has to, punch them out.
Yep.
So Drew McIntyre goes back to the corner, does the ooh-ah one more time. And he charges Roman, who has had enough time to recover, who gets out of the way. And Drew McIntyre hits the turnbuckle. And this time is all it needs for Roman Reigns to get up. And he's going to hit Drew McIntyre with a little bit of a Claymore kick to the head for the cover. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, he actually beat him with... Oh, man.
He beats him with his own move.
Oh, that's insulting.
Because after Drew McIntyre did the spear, he hit the turnbuckle with his head, so Roman decided to hit him in the head with the Claymore.
Oh, man. That's brutal. That's going to get some heat. I like that.
So Roman Reigns gets up. Drew McIntyre's up too. And there's no referee. The Usos are not in the picture because I don't need them to be.
Sure.
Roman tells Drew to get on one knee and hand him the championship. So Drew McIntyre begrudgingly gets down on one knee, grabs the championship. He holds it and looks at it for a minute. Then he gives it to Roman. And Roman grabs the championship and is about to lift his arms up, but then he says, "Lift up my arm." So Drew McIntyre gets up from his knee, looks at Roman, and does one solid loogie spit.
Had it coming. And that'd get a pop.
And then Roman kicks him in the balls.
That would get a booze.
And Roman tells the Usos to go get him a chair. They get him a chair, and Roman puts it in Drew's leg and stomps on it repeatedly, over and over, and it's uncomfortable to watch.
I bet.
It's so bad that eventually they have to get paramedics and referees and agents out there, and Roman, doesn't even care. The Usos push off Drew McIntyre so he's out of the ring, and then they are basically out of the ring. Roman Reigns at this point asks for a microphone from Renee Young. So Renee Young comes up and she's about to go interview him, and Roman Reigns is like, "Give me this microphone and get out of my ring."
Okay.
Oh, and tell your husband hi.
Did you see that, speaking of her husband, did you see that he just wrestled Minoru Suzuki with Eddie Kingston in New Japan?
No, I haven't seen it.
So I guess he's doing better? Question mark?
Does his rehab involve wrestling Japanese AARP members?
I didn't know that there was Japanese rehab. I didn't know he was going to Japanese rehab.
Is just wrestling, but without weapons.
Well, anyway.
So now we're going to move on to this Roman Reigns promo. Give me 1 second, okay? I got to drink some water.
Yeah.
So I have the energy to do this.
This portion of the Court Martial Podcast sponsored by water. Hydrate, people.
Whatever water it is, it could be yours. You just have to sponsor it.
That's right.
So, as you see, folks, my number one contender is lying in a heap. And that leg of yours, I'm so sorry. No, I'm not sorry that I had to break it. But now, I've beaten Drew McIntyre. And I want you, Los Angeles, California, to acknowledge me.
Boo! You suck. You suck. You suck. You suck.
You know what? I'm not surprised that you're booing me because all of you are garbage. You are terrible people. You cheer for a man like Drew McIntyre, and look what happened to your heroes. Just like the Los Angeles. No, I'm not even going to do the cheap heat. Fuck the cheap heat. Look at me destroying your heroes because at the end of the day, the city of angels is where the city of people die.
Besides, what have they got to look forward to in LA? OBJ?
OBJ, exactly. No, I'm not going to do the heel heat, that cheap heat.
Fair enough. But it's not really Roman style.
At this point, Roman is so hated that people start throwing stuff into the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Drew, good luck with your rehab. And Kurt Angle, I know you're listening. I know there are several challengers that you have in the National Wrestling League. I want you to line them up. I want you to get your best out there. And I want you to put them in the ring against me. Because I'm going to knock them down. Understand something. I am Roman Reigns. I am the National Wrestling League World Heavyweight Champion. And you want to know what that means? I am the big dog. I am the tribal chief. I am the leader of the NWL. Send who you want. Just don't send anyone you want to come back. Because they're never going to come back. I'm going to send them to the ER like Drew McIntyre. And I am the single most dominant force in this business. And why should I just be limited to one company? Why should I just be limited to this one company on the West Coast when I could be the champion of every company in the world? This is a notice to all champions in the world. I want you to grab your championships. I want you to hold them tight because I'm going to be coming for them soon enough. But, there's one little pest I have to deal with. His name is Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And Maxwell, you accuse me of being jealous of you? You accuse me of being jealous of what you have? Brother, look at what I have as he holds up the championship. I've got everything I need here. But it appears that you need a lesson taught to you. You see, I had a friend of mine, one Mr. Heyman, give you something earlier today. It was a contract for our match, and it was signed by yours truly with the notice that any damage I do to you in that match, I cannot be held responsible for. And folks, I got that contract back from Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He accepted it. The match is on. With one little condition that he put on. And that condition was that I put up the National Wrestling League World Heavyweight Championship. You all know what? Something, Maxwell Jacob Friedman? You're on. I'll put this title up. At Frozen Frontier, it will be me, the World Heavyweight Champion, the true World Heavyweight Champion, versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman for my title. And I look forward to kicking your teeth in. And after I'm done with that, I may just have a little bit of an interest in what happens in that main event. Titus O'Neil with Jeff Cobb. Your world championship fight is amusing to me. I want to see who comes out on top. Because you may get a visit from me, Roman Reigns. This is not the beginning of the War Council taking over. This is the Roman Empire. Believe that.
It will be interesting to see how Roman Reigns does when he defends, when he competes one-on-one with MJF at actual Winter Warfare. Especially
did I say
considering...
Frozen Frontier?
You said Frozen Frontier. And I got a little confused because I thought that you were booking the same match.
No, I wasn't.
But
sorry, I got my pay-per-view names mixed up.
Now that we are clear that we are actually, in fact, talking about Winter Warfare. And
so the title is on the line.
That Roman Reigns is willing to put his title up on the line against MJF. And
with the condition that he cannot be held liable for the damage that he will do to Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Right. It will be interesting to see how that develops. It will be interesting to see how all of this develops. But well done, sir. What a great show to bring it all together and start a new era in Roman Reigns that is going to... It's been a year. Where does it go from here? Literally, where does it go from here?
Well, it goes to Charlotte, North Carolina next month.
That's right. And that's where you're going to see it in the mostly figurative sense. But the only way you're going to be able to listen to all of that, including what I assume will be Frozen Frontier, which will be the December show of the NWL, the only way you're going to get the chance to listen to that is if you like, you share, you subscribe, you hit that bell button, you switch it to all, get all the notifications of the CMP. What a series of shows we've got. 2 hours in. Sky, well done with the National Wrestling League, sir.
With a cold/fever dream pitch. So, again, my apologies for not being 100%. That's probably why I got the names mixed up.
That's okay. Well, you knocked it out of the park regardless with a hell of a show. And until next time, of course, next week we're going to have a new show for you, new match of the week, new spotlight, and all that. But until then, it is time to go to our first commercial break. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you right after this.